Pain implies pleasure. Pleasure implies pain. There's no such thing as a one-sided coin. There's no such thing as a one-sided mountain. Oh, Danny boy, Danny boy, Danny boy. I get not Chumbawamba. Look it up. This episode, The Daily Vedantic, is on pain and pleasure and the implications between the two. Recently, we talked about the yin-yang symbol, and the origin story of the yin-yang symbol, to recap, is that it is actually, it's not meant, some people think it's fish, or some people think that it is just meant to be an artistic symbol, but it actually is, the origin is that it was a representation on top of a mountain ridge. And the view from on top of a mountain ridge is a light side and a dark side of the mountain, various times in the day. The symbolism is that one implies the other, and you can't have one without the other. You can't have a mountain with one side. You could come up with all these other symbolic representations of the yin-yang symbol, but what I love about that one that when I first heard it, and since then, is that in so many, you could talk about black and white opposites, and you could conceptualize a world where there is no black. You could conceptualize a world where there is no white, but you cannot conceptualize. You can't imagine a world where there is a mountain with one side, or a one-sided coin. In that episode, we talked about the world being opposites. One of the most powerful opposites within our experience of life. And life within Vedanta is defined as a stream of experiences. Within this stream of experiences, one of the most powerful polarities is pleasure and pain. We tried to seek a life of only pleasure, avoiding pain at all costs. But that very attachment to pleasure leads to pain. That aversion to pain, said another way, that aversion to pain leads to the very thing we're trying to avoid. Live a life in comfort on your couch all day long. Never give your joints a workout, and you're going to be in pain after a few weeks. Turns out the Vedantic phrase of attach, you lose, detach, you gain, is so true when it comes to pleasure and pain, just in the body. You put yourself through an hour-long hard workout, and on the other side, you're going to feel great. You're going to feel pleasure from that discomfort you put yourself to. The spiritual side of it is often called divine discomfort, where you are hooking on to the higher and you're watching these lower qualities fall away. You do what you know is right in a scenario, and you know, okay, this is going to be painful. When I come clean on this, that, the other, there's going to be some divine discomfort. When I say, no, I'm not going to go along with that, within some business pursuit that has something unethical to it, there will be divine discomfort. If you can see clearly, then you see beyond the discomfort. Like the canonical example of an hour-long run or a workout. If you can see beyond the discomfort, you see the pleasure within it. Pain implies pleasure. Pleasure implies pain. The world is opposites. Both will exist. There is no life, there never has been, there never will be, of only pleasure. There is no life, there never has been, there never will be, of only pain. These are made up ideas in our head. That the person with $10 billion has no pain. Or the person in a war-torn country that's starving has no pleasure, has never had any pleasure in their life. There's no such thing as a one-sided coin. There's no such thing as a one-sided mountain. The only choice we have, because we do not have a choice of a life of only pleasure and no pain, or a life of pain but no pleasure, that is not the world as opposites, according to this philosophy. So take it or leave it. But the only choice that we have is, what do we voluntarily surrender to? Do we surrender to pain that is bitter in the beginning, but like nectar in the end? Or do we surrender to our mind that says, no. Let's only do what is sweet in the beginning. Both are going to have their pain. Both will have their pleasure. But one will generate energy within us. Generate energy towards all of our practical, mundane goals. Generate energy towards all of our profound goals. Generate energy for our entire community. And the alternative is going to dissipate our energy, destroy our energy. Might start with sweetness in the beginning and end up with bitterness in the end. The 6 weeks drinking Mai Tais, the beach, will end with pain. That's not even philosophy. That is something, just imagine not getting out of bed for 6 weeks, for 2 weeks, for 5 days, and seeing, is that going to make me feel great? Is that going to make me feel even good? Or is that actually just so obviously not healthy and not good for me? Not even pleasurable on the other side of trying to stay in bed for 24 hours. That you can already see the pain on the other side of what is conventionally seen as pleasurable. Lazing in bed all day. It is an experiment we can run with ourselves over and over and over again. When we surrender to temporary pain, is pleasure the reward? And when we surrender to the mind choosing pleasure, is there pain on the other side? There is no judgment. And I am not advocating for not seeking pleasure. That is natural for us. We will do that. I do that. But the divine discomfort is recognizing that the discomfort we submit ourselves to, we surrender ourselves to in the beginning, can lead to immeasurable pleasure on the other side. Willfully, voluntarily going into what is displeasurable is not one of, but is the greatest way to create pleasure in our lives. According to this philosophy, and I'm speaking from experience, not just one way, but the greatest way to create pleasure in our lives. They aren't just intertwined. They don't just imply each other. But there is one direction in which pleasure grows and grows and grows. And there's another direction in which it dissipates more and more until it's nearly gone. That is today's reflection on the relationship between pleasure and pain on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.